Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics. Today we're going to talk about me. Now before we begin, let's do a quick prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filii et Spiritui Sancto, secutor principio et nunc et semper in saecula saeculorum. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. All right. I want to do a quick episode on me, just so you know my backstory and kind of you can see where I'm coming from. First of all, I do not have a degree in theology. I do not work for the diocese or anything like that. I am a Catholic layman who loves his faith and loves apologetics and believes that we take the Great Commission seriously when Christ ascended, that we teach to all nations, baptizing in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And so I love my faith and I like sharing my faith. I was always a Catholic, baptized 5 days after I was born. My family is originally from Mexico. My father was a doctor and he got a job here in America back in the early 60s, to date myself. And that's why they moved over here. Now, my grandfather was involved in the Cristiada. If you guys know about that episode of Mexican history, where Obregón and Calles, the Freemasonic presidents of Mexico in the 20s, cracked down on the church. They prohibited priests from wearing anything that would suggest they're a priest. They cracked on the mass. They cracked down on the mass, and so parts of Mexico rebelled. And the area that my family was from was Jalisco, was one of those big areas. So there's a massive uprising. Miguel Pro is probably the most famous martyr that came out of that. So for a few years, the Freemasonic government of Mexico was trying to persecute the Mexicans who wanted to practice their faith. This is very similar to what happened in the Spanish Civil War. This is very common that happened in the French Revolution and in the Russian Revolution. It's the MO of the Freemasons. So either way, my father instilled in me a kind of like a lot of the who are the enemies of the church. We want to believe that there's no enemies of the church. But going back to Freemasonry, even in the 18th century, we had our first prohibitions that Catholics could not be high-level Freemasons, and I believe there's been like 9 or 10 proclamations since then, even most recently in the 20th century. So I kind of had that in my upbringing. Went to a Catholic elementary school, a Catholic high school, a Jesuit school, and a Catholic university, which wasn't saying too much. And I never rebelled from the faith, even in high school or anything like that. I was a good guy. I was a really fat kid in high school, so I was kind of like the nerdy kid who was never invited anywhere, and I think that kind of helped me keep my faith because I never got involved in drugs or alcohol. I was a good kid. And even in university, after I lost all my weight, I never went through the I'm too cool for church, I'm too cool for the Catholic faith. I went to Mass every week, and I could tell you some horror stories. I mean, I went to the Catholic University. They would do an interpretive dance during the Our Father. So, I mean, this was in the 90s during a lot of that abuse. But through my 20s, I was married. I'm currently married and annulled. I do have children, but I'm currently single and annulled. And I'm trying to practice what St. Paul practiced in 1 Corinthians, that if you have the ability to control your loins, so to speak, you should stay single. But I am open to marriage if the right traditional Catholic woman comes along. But through my 20s and 30s, practiced the faith. I learned the rosary in Latin probably about 15 years ago, and I still do that daily. I also learned the Memorare and the Prayer of St. Michael and so forth. I'd say probably about 5 years ago, after just getting tired of the typical Our Lady of Suburbia services where the stained glass is gone, the Jesus is in a closet, like Dirty Dancing, they'll put baby in the corner. Jesus is in a closet in the tabernacle. And all the liturgical abuses, I started gravitating more toward the Eastern Rite and the Ordinary of Chair of St. Peter, which is kind of an Anglican rite, and of course the traditional Latin Mass. And my degrees are in history, and this is why I approach a lot of future episodes from the angle of history, because history does vindicate the Catholic Church. So I think a lot of those created this kind of concoction that is Gregory now, which what I would say is I am center of right. I would say that I understand the arguments of sedevacanism. In other words, there hasn't been a valid pope since 1958. And certainly I understand the people who want to believe that Benedict was the last truly ordained pope. But I'm not sedevacanist. I am obedient to Holy Mother Church. But I am certainly right of center. I'm not favorable of Francis's recent crackdown on the TLM, even though I don't go to a TLM. I respect the TLM. I believe that that is a humongous mistake that he made. So I am certainly for traditional Catholicism, absolutely. And I think if you, like Christ says, know them by their fruits, if you look at the fruits of Vatican II, aside from lay evangelization and theology of the body and some of these things, if you look at the fruits of Vatican II, whether or not it was intentional or it's just the people misused it, and certainly if you look at Novus Ordo masses and whatnot, I'd say if you judge them by their fruits, the fruits of Vatican II have not been that great. So guys, that's all I want to say. Post in the comments if you have other questions that you want to ask me. But that's pretty much, I'm just a lay guy who wanted to start a YouTube channel to help other people to learn about their faith. And look, my episodes are not infallible. I will make mistakes, but just know they come from a good place and a good heart. Guys, please hit the notification, subscribe, and share button, and share with other like-minded people. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.